Hey guys, welcome to Layman's Terms Podcast, the place where we talk about really big topics using the smallest words possible. I'm Danny the bartender.
And I'm Tommy the trash man.
And together, we're just two guys trying to explain the ever-changing world around us the only way that we know how. And today we're just we've been away for a while. We apologize. And so today we're back on our bullshit. We're just going to talk about some random shit. I'm sure a lot has happened. I know a lot's going on in my world, probably a lot going on in Tommy's world.
Yeah.
So, Tommy, what's new with you, man?
The boys are back in town.
I'm not singing in this one. We're singing.
Yeah, we're singing a lot. But you know what? I really, really wish we could add some like sound effects and some.
Dude, it's funny. It's funny you say that. I was gonna fucking grab my harmonica before we did this one.
Yeah, there you go. Like I just feel like there's like certain things that like throughout my week I'll think about talking about, and then I'll see something and I'm like, dude, that would be a great like a sound effect, like a lightsaber or something, or like Darth Vader, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, oh, that would sound great, and I'm like, we don't have that, but you know.
Well, dude, there's a thing, because even you mentioned before this about like throwing in little tips for people that might be doing podcasts, and the one thing I got my eyes on, it's called a Rodecaster Pro, and one of the features is the thing where you can add any sound you want and hit the button.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've you listen to other podcasts and they have like certain things, you know, they'll have little videos up in the they'll be like, check out in the left corner here, or whatever, you know, things like that. Which they're far more advanced than we are, but this is layman's terms for a reason. We like to keep things simple. So
yeah, we never said we were good.
Yeah, I mean, we might get to that point at some time, but you know, we're not there yet. But
you guys are all watching the process.
Yeah, trust the process.
Yeah. Trust the process and listen to progress.
Yes. So yeah, man, there's been a lot going on in the world lately.
There's aliens.
There are fucking aliens. The truth is out there, and all of these recent reports and videos.
I'm ready.
It's bringing out my inner Fox Mulder.
Yeah.
And if people are listening that don't know who that is, it was a character, David Duchovny, from the X-Files, from a TV show from the 90s, and that was one thing when I grew up, like watching the X-Files, I absolutely loved that show.
Well, he's in Californication. People might know him from that if they don't know.
Yeah. Because I actually asked somebody if they knew that show and all, and they had no idea. But I was like, as a kid, I loved that show, and I'm like, dude, like, I was like, maybe I want to go in the FBI and become Fox Mulder, like, because I don't want to solve murders. Like, I want to serve, well, unless they were done by aliens. Like, I want to investigate supernatural shit.
You know what's great though? I feel like when you're a kid, you actually, like, in other words, like, as you get older, you realize I can't do that. But when you're a kid, even if it sounds insane, there's still the possibility. Like, yeah, maybe one day I'll be an FBI agent that works on fucking secret files.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds great, and that's, you know, as a kid, I mean, fuck, I wanted to be an author, I wanted to be a DJ, I wanted to be Fox Mulder. I mean, I wanted to be, actually, strangely enough, oddly, as a very young kid, my mom was like, you wanted to be a pizza guy, you wanted to be a trash guy. Which, go figure, of all the things that I aspired to be, one of the things is trash man, and unfortunately that was the one that came to fruition.
But that's how it goes as you get older. Like when you're younger, it's like, I want to be a basketball player, I want to be a football player, I want to be a fucking secret agent who fucking does aliens, and it just goes little by little, and then you get to this point where you're like, I want to make $17 an hour.
Yeah, like, no, I sell hot dogs. And like, I have a hot dog cart somewhere.
Well, I used to laugh too, because I think when you can have potential and dreams when you're young, right? So if you meet like your girlfriend's parents and they're like, Oh, what do? You're like, you could be doing nothing. You could be bartending. You could be fucking working as a pizza delivery guy. But you could say like, the girlfriend will say like, he wants to be a film guy, or whatever. And then, you get that conversation going. When you're 35 and you're working as the pizza guy and you're explaining to somebody's dad that you want to be in film, the dad's looking at you like you're a fucking pizza guy. That's what you are.
that's all you got going on in your future, kid. That's it.
Yeah, like they're not even entertained by your dreams anymore.
Yeah, stick to slinging pizzas, kid. You'll be good at that. You know what I mean? You flip the dough, throw it in the air, you'll be good at it. So there was an article from an ex-Israeli space official, Aliens, Galactic Federation, real, hiding until we're ready. I'm gonna completely fucking blow these people's names because I don't know.
Go for it.
Haim Sheed reportedly told the Israeli publication.
It sounds like a curse word in like Arabic. Haim Sheed.
Yes. Deet Aeronaut, he can confirm the existence of aliens because he's claiming they've been among us for a damn long time. He even says that they have their own org, the Gal. Yeah, dude, this is I haven't been reading much lately. The Galactic Federation. But not only that, but Sheed, who worked for the Israeli government from 1981 to 2010, also alleges President Trump was about to blow the lid off the whole thing recently, but that he was convinced to shut his trap because most humans weren't ready for the truth. He said there's an agreement between the U.S. government and aliens. They signed a contract with us to do experiments here. They too are researching and trying to understand the whole fabric of the universe, and they want us as helpers.
Are they hiring?
Well, so they come in peace, apparently. And one more claim, he said there's an underground space base on Mars right now where man-made and aliens are working side by side for the betterment of the Federation. So yeah, man, this is pretty crazy. And then on top of that, you add the random monoliths that have been popping up all over the United States. But apparently one of them was just debunked. There was a.
Did they figure out the bottom of that?
Well, the first one, I forget I forget where it was. It was in some desert, maybe in Montana or some shit. I don't remember.
One of them places that
I'll never go to. Yeah. But so that popped up and people were like, what the fuck is this? It was like something straight out of Space Odyssey 2001, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it disappeared. And then there were some other ones that popped up, but I think recently there was another one that popped up, and there were like some guys that said basically that it was us. We put it there, which is not surprising because once something like that happens, then you got a bunch of copycats, people, that are fucking bored.
We should have said we put it there.
Oh God, could you imagine that publicity?
Yeah,
that would have been fantastic.
Hey guys, it was us.
It was layman's terms. We went from slinging fucking pizza and picking up trash to building monoliths.
Dude, I bet if we did that, you would forever be in the myth of that. Like in 15 years from now when they're like telling that story, because even if it's been debunked, there's going to be a crazy story behind it. We'll be part of that theory.
Yeah. And it would be, it would be great for us, man. That would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
Just put a big LTP stamp on there and be like, is that from the Galactic Federation? Is that their?
No, guys, it was just us, us guys.
We're just joshing you guys. So yeah, man, but besides that, I had a rough week, man. I just want to say that to people out there that are listening, know me as Tommy the Trash Man. Last week is one of the worst weeks ever to be a trash man because you skip a day with Thanksgiving. Was it last week or was it 2 weeks ago? I don't even know. We've been so.
Well, I think we're confused. I don't think it's been 3 weeks.
Maybe not.
It's been like 2 weeks, but in the middle or something. Doesn't matter.
So it wasn't. It was maybe 2 weeks ago when you skip Thanksgiving. So you're off Thursday. You go in Friday, at least we do, but everybody assumes that you're off. So nobody puts out their fucking trash. So basically, in a place that gets 2 pickups a week, You only got one that week. And so then that Monday and Tuesday is absolutely brutal. That Monday was raining out, on top of the fact that we have COVID fucking trash because, you know, everybody's locked down. So more people are home. So all of our weight slips in general since the lockdowns have been going up. People are just generating more trash. You know what I mean? So it was just the Monday and Tuesday were just days from fucking hell. My back's fucking shot. Like I'm 40 and I'm just like, dude, my back's gone. Like I had to go to the chiropractor yesterday and I was just like fucking tearing up, man. I'm like, dude, this is brutal. He's rubbing the shit out of my back. And I'm like, oh dude,
Yeah.
I was in tears.
That's when you know you're an old man, when you're 100% okay with another guy rubbing your back down because it feels good.
Dude, I could care less. Not all, dude, and not to sound, you know, a little prima donna or anything here. I was doing my hair prior to the show, right? I just got a haircut today, and I'm like, dude, my fucking hair's thinning. Like this is another thing with turning 40 now, and I'm like, this fucking blows. I mean, it was not the best haircut, and I'm sitting there, I'm fucking around, and I'm like, my hair sucks. You know, just I had to do it because, you know, in case of the two viewers are watching on YouTube and they're like, hey, you know, Tommy looks a little different.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I'm not watching anymore.
Yeah, his hair's all fucked up. Maybe I should call our last guest to go over, like, meditate and not be so self-aware about, you know, looks and all that shit. But I'm like, dude, this blows, man. Just everything. Like my back fucking hurts and my hair's thinning, you know. It's just one of those things, I guess. You know, you turn 40. What are you gonna do? It's just all downhill from here.
Dude, I was looking in the mirror when I shaved. I'm like, my fucking white chin's getting really white. It wasn't this white when we started. So I don't know. It's getting whiter. I'm getting older.
Yeah, and you know what's messed up? I made a post on Facebook the other day, and I actually felt horrible. Like it was kind of meant to be a joke, but then I felt bad because we have a mutual friend who was diagnosed with cancer. I believe it's breast cancer. And my post was basically saying two things I've learned since I've turned 40. I've noticed since I've turned 40 is I wake up hungover at least once or twice a week, even when I don't drink. And two, my response to every conversation anymore is just, ugh. Like internally, like I'm thinking, like when somebody talks to me, I'm like, ugh. I just don't want to fucking even say anything. And she commented, she's like, you know what? You're still alive. You're in health and everything. And I'm like, this was kind of meant to be funny, but now I feel horrible.
Yeah, now you just ruined it. Well, I mean, I don't mean to say that like that because I love the person you're talking about.
Yeah, and no, she didn't ruin it because I know she's absolutely right. Like, and I'm just, but like, I feel like a piece of shit because like I can't say anything back to her. Like, she's like, well, I'm going through fucking chemo, jerk off. Like, what problems?
Yeah.
The gray hairs in your beard.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks. Now I don't know how to continue anymore on this podcast. Now everything, I had all these problems I wanted to tell you about. Now I just feel like shit.
Exactly. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm like, I love you. And you're right. And she's like, you know, when I beat this or if I beat this. And I said, no, there's no if.
When you beat this.
Yes, you will. So yeah, man, it's just one of those things.
Well, on a different thing, but the same kind of thing. In the beginning of COVID, I put a post up that said, if you're getting a lot of text messages right now of your friends checking in on you to see if you're okay, it's not because they love you. It's because you're really old and they think you might die. Yeah. But the thing that was funny was that 5 seconds later, this old dude commented on it, who's a really old guy that I know, and he posted, "Thanks a lot, you fucking asshole." And I realized that I just messaged him, "Hey, man, how are you? How's everything going?" And that's where the idea came from. And then this guy fucking completely caught on to my next fucking post.
That's awesome.
Poor. But anyway, he made it. He made it. But anyway, other than cancer, dude, actually, I want to go back to the aliens for just a second because we didn't discuss it like I want to. I mean, do you think that there's any truth to that story? The guy's apparently credible. He's just old.
Well, so there was a video that I posted on the Instagram. I believe it was from Egypt, and I don't know if you saw it or not, but it was wild. It was just this one kind of like orb or whatever in the sky. It was pretty far off. Like somebody looked like they were filming it from their phone. And then it just kind of broke off into several different things, and it almost looked like they were kind of getting into this formation. So I don't know, man. I mean, there's over the past few years, it seems like there's more and more and more information coming out. And it's one of those things where also the universe is, I mean, we can't even fathom the size of it. You know what I mean? At least I can't. I mean, I don't even know if scientists know exactly how big they imagine it to be. But I can't imagine that we would be the only life form. I mean, there has to be, even if there's some kind of like algae or some like plankton, some kind of other life form that has potential to grow into something. And as far as intelligent life form, more intelligent than us, I have no idea. That's just my inner kid that is like fascinated by it, that wants to kind of believe.
See, I mean, I'm 100% positive that there's life somewhere. My thought is, can they make it here? And I've actually recently started to gather a different theory on what it would be. And I was thinking in my head, I heard Elon Musk was talking about, like, you know how we're getting into this virtual reality world? Like, we're like, people are saying things like, eventually we're going to be living in like virtual reality. Like, and I started thinking, because they were basically saying, like, if you live inside a game or if you live inside some kind of simulated system, well, is that your life? I mean, you're now living in a simulate, like kind of like Avatar,
Right.
Well, then I started thinking, if you could remotely travel and virtually be there like a drone, then it would make sense to me. But I still don't see the possibility of like something coming here and fucking landing and getting out and fucking talking to us and shit.
Right.
I'm cursing a lot about aliens for no reason, and I've been trying not to curse. Sorry.
No,
you know what? Fired up about aliens.
You know what though? It's funny. Like, as I was driving to the chiropractor last night, my navigation system was pronouncing the street names wrong. So I'm thinking, dude, like, they keep talking about a couple years away from self-driving cars. I mean, we kind of have some technology that kind of parallel park, and and I guess they can to some degree. And I'm like, but my navigation system can't even get the fucking street names right. So, like,
yeah,
am I really going to put my hands in technology when they can't pronounce, Conshohocken or Moymensing or certain street names? I'm like, I don't know about that.
My old navigation system, I used to laugh because I used to say, it would say to me, like, because you know how they're slow sometimes and you always miss it?
Yeah.
Like, it would be like, make a left, back 5 feet or some shit. Like I'm like, thanks a lot. It's too late.
Right. Make a left into this creek.
Dude, and an interesting thing, too. How about this? In Germany, when that stuff first started happening, the navigation in your cars, do you remember that they had to recall, like, this is a true story. They had to recall, like, a huge line of cars. So, I mean, say, something in the thousands of cars, because German men absolutely refused to take directions from women. And that's true story.
So it was like Siri. Don't they know they couldn't change it to like Morgan Freeman's voice?
That's the thing. This is like the first run. Like, it was like when that shit first started. And so just as we were all getting navigation systems that talked, German dudes hated the fact that it was a woman. How fucking horrible is that?
I mean, dude,
like, hated it enough that they're like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
These cars need to be returned.
I really wanted to try and sound German or speak German there, but I'm like, I got nothing.
Yeah.
I felt like there was
especially a German woman. That's doubling it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, but I remember it was like super cool when you had the I don't even remember what apps they were, but then you could do the celebrity voices.
Yeah.
Like Morgan Freeman and Arnold Schwarzenegger and all this shit.
Turn the right.
Yeah.
That's German. What the fuck? We could have just done
No,
Arnie.
he's not German.
Oh yeah, he's Austrian.
Austrian, yeah. He's get to the chopper. Turn right to the chopper. And actually that's a good segue into our maybe something else we can talk about. We finally have a celebrity follow.
Scott Baio. Charles in Charge is following. I don't know if he's listening, but he follows me on Twitter, us on Twitter. So, hey, Scott, you hunk.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I mean, and I'm sure that maybe some people don't know who Scott Baio is, but he was a pretty major star in the 80s, right?
Oh, I was extremely excited. Well, not only in the 80s. The thing about Scott Baio was he went through like because he was really big on he went through 3 cycles of major TV shows and through 3 different generations. So he was on Happy Days as a young kid,
right?
Who was like dating the sister Joni,
right?
And then because they were so popular on that, when they got older and were like teenagers, they started a show called Joni Loves Chachi,
right?
And then Charles in Charge.
Was there anything after Charles in Charge? I don't know. I mean, I think that's kind of like the pinnacle.
I mean,
career.
Wouldn't you want to go out on Charles in Charge? I would.
Dude, first of all, I absolutely loved Charles in Charge.
It was I used to watch it every day when I came home. I don't even remember an episode, but I loved it.
Yeah, I loved, the theme song, Charles in Charge, of our days and our lives and shit like that.
I'm not singing, Tom. We're not singing.
I was going to sing. I can't help myself.
I knew it was coming. I didn't want to do it.
I'm the music guy, man. I wanted to sing. But Nicole Eggert was super, super fucking hot.
Well, I'm going to add something. This is how he ended up following us. She's accused him of raping her.
Okay.
So he was like blasted out because basically he's been trying to show everybody that he's not that guy because she's been basically told the story 18 different ways, and then he never got in trouble for it. But the media never came back when all the shit was fake. She said she was 13. She said she was 17. She said she never told anybody. Said she told her best friend. She said it never happened. She said it was in this place, that place. So I like just found out about it by seeing his tweet. So I posted underneath, hey, it's one thing when she tries to ruin your life, but it's another when she tries to ruin my favorite TV show. And then he followed me.
Oh, wow. Well, I know a little bit about it. I mean, I really can't speak on it much, but I do remember hearing something about it. And I thought like he was kind of blown away because I thought they dated at one point. And then on top of that, I think he also had a reality TV show, I think. And I think she was on it. Like he was like, we've been friends for years. So like, I don't even know where this came from. So again, not to say that it can't happen. I have no idea. But it's just kind of weird because he's like, dude, like we were friends. You know what I mean?
I don't mean to make jokes, but like being after that happened, it brings a whole different thought to the title Charles in Charge. but anyway, no, I that's the thing too. I think they had a consensual relationship. So me and Tommy just went from aliens to TMZ talking gossip on Scott Baio's dirty sex life. He's probably going to unfollow us after this.
No, I mean, hey, listen, I think it's super cool. I mean, I remember, he was on every, like teen, whatever those fucking teen poppy things were him and Kirk Cameron.
Dude, do you ever like just imagine being a teen heartthrob?
It's gotta be
Like,
tough.
it's got to be tough. It's got to be easy.
Well, no, what I'm saying is it's easy at that time, but a lot of those child stars, you know, their careers don't take off, and then they get, you know, on drugs, and their lives fall apart.
But that's what I mean. Like going through like when you're
at that time, it's got to be fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even at the same time, like I could imagine just like overnight somebody going from just a normal dude to like everybody wants a picture of you. Like you can't fucking go anywhere. Everybody wants, you know, even to the point where then they're accusing you of shit. You know, it must be crazy. Thank God I've never been a teen heartthrob.
Yeah. I mean, I would have, especially back then, I would have hated to sleep with Alyssa Milano. Yeah. There we go on her again.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm sure she probably wasn't super liberal then. You know what I mean?
I don't know what she was. I don't even know. What was a super liberal? What was a super liberal back then? What was it? What did it encapsulate?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know. But then speaking of that, then we move on to Candace Owens and what's his name? Harry Styles had a little Twitter beef. So which I'm a little bit conflicted about, because, you know, speaking about liberals and all those things. So
you dirty bastards.
Yeah, so Candace Owens or let me Harry Styles posted or had a photo shop or whatever the hell it was. He was on Vogue magazine in women's dresses. And Candace Owens came out and basically was like, you know, there's nothing sexy about this. You know, it's typical, you know, the left is trying to feminize men and all these things. And I don't really know how I feel about it. Strangely enough, it was like right after this kind of story dropped. It was, you know, it was all over the place. I was at work, not my part-time job, and this young girl, I didn't hear all of the conversation, but she mentioned that she was into femboys, which I didn't know. I didn't know what that meant, really.
Dude, I've lost all of, I don't know what, I don't know what, I don't even know what a tranny is anymore, because I don't think I'm right on it anymore. Yes. I don't know what anything is. I don't even know what I am. I'm still waiting for a gender reveal.
Yeah. We should have an LTP gender reveal, like for both of us. I don't know.
Dude, I was listening to some comedian, and he goes, yeah, gender reveals. He goes, they're so in now. He's like, I used to do gender reveals all the time on the New York subway.
Yeah, right. So she was mentioning what she was into femboys, and I'm like, you know, my ears kind of pop up, and I'm like, what the fuck is a femboy? Now, I kind of assumed I knew what it was, and I was right. Like she was saying, she's like, I'm into dudes that have like feminine features, that wear like dresses and paint their fingernails and shit like that. Like she was like, her ideal femboy would be like 6'5" with like a six-pack in a dress and like paint her fingernails. And I'm like, dude, that seems so like twisted in many ways.
What?
Like, I don't know why a guy needs to wear a dress for you to be attracted. I mean, you know, to each their own. If that's what you like, that's what you're into.
But then she wants him to be 6'5"
with a six-pack. Like, that's pretty masculine.
Yeah. How does he make that change?
Like, there's nothing. Like, if he was like 5'8", you know, and you know, just like a little regular body.
Yeah,
like
she wants
a little bit more feminine, but like
Dennis Rodman in the 90s is what she was looking for.
Exactly. Well, she actually, I wanted to leave race out of it, but she did mention a black guy, so it is funny.
Oh, there you go.
So Dennis Rodman would be the perfect fit.
Wow, she had like she really like, dude. Hey, like if like talk about being picky. Like, I just can't find somebody I like. What are you looking for? A 6'5" black guy with rock hard abs and wears dresses and paints his fingernails.
Yeah, like where are you coming across them? Like shit. But the thing about that was, that kind of like blew up. You know, then Noah Cyrus, Miley Cyrus's younger sister, I believe. She called Candace like a nappy-headed hoe or some shit like that, and you know that kind of dragged out. But so Candace was pretty hard on the guy, and she was like, going off about how it's not masculine and all that, and how I'm not attracted to it, which is fine, and I get that. My thing is when she's like, this is just the left trying to feminize males. My thing is, this has been going on for years. Like you said, Dennis Rodman in the 90s. Before him, you had Jagger and Bowie. Bowie in particular was very androgynous. Kurt Cobain wore dresses, So this has been kind of going on for, I even think like when you go back to our forefathers and all wearing wigs, now there was reasons why they wore wigs, which I don't remember exactly what that is, but like they wore makeup and wigs as men. So like, that's kind of feminine. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this kind of shit has been going on. I don't know that it's
what I'll say that I actually thought it was interesting what Candace Owens said, because when she ended up having the issue with Noah Cyrus for what she said, which I believe rightfully so, what she said about her and Harry Styles, she said, listen, she said, I don't know where Noah gets off coming in and saying what she said to me, but she goes, see, me and Harry Styles are cool, and we have a dialogue. Right. She said he wore a dress to open up a conversation. Therefore, by opening up that conversation, I was able to, I wasn't being disrespectful. He opened up a conversation and I added what I felt about it. You know what I mean? Right. So in other words, to then just come in and call her a nappy-headed hoe might have been a stretch too far.
Well, yeah, that's obviously. We had Don Imus, who was like a radio guy, or I think he was. He
was like a couple of things. Yeah, he was. I don't think he was a sportscaster, but he was. I think he was. Unless he was just referring to them, but was he announcing the game?
This went back. I don't know if it's the 90s or early 2000s. He was like a radio personality. And I don't remember exactly the whole story, but I remember Don Imus did say something. He was a relatively famous radio DJ, and he called like the women's basketball players, like he said something about nappy-headed hoes. And of course, he was fired because it was, racial undertones and all that stuff. So
yeah, I don't know if it's the same incident, but even if it isn't, I don't want to put it on Don Imus, but it's just as bad. But I think it might have been the same thing. He also, and like I said, might not have been him, but he also said they had like a collective GPA of 2.0.
Really? Yeah, I don't remember.
And basically it was all black female basketball players. So if it, they might be two separate instances, but they both really happen, and they're both horrible.
Well, one lost his job and the other one's just like, yeah, whatever. I'll be fine. No apology.
Yeah, well, that's, dude, look, I'll say one thing. Like, how some people think they can get away with saying certain things. And I don't think you should be in trouble for saying certain things, but there's things you don't say. Like, there's just things that you don't say as a human being. You just don't say them.
Right.
And I think that's one of them, Now I hate when people, maybe attack a comedian for maybe going out on a limb on a joke or whatever. But like, when some things, it's like, you just don't say that. You wouldn't say it anywhere.
No. And, I just saw a little article with Sarah Silverman that mentioned that as a liberal Democrat, she can get away with saying more than conservatives because people know that she's doing it as a joke. Like, she's a liberal Democrat. So it's in jest, it's comedy. Whereas like somebody as a conservative, I guess she's saying they don't have as much freedom to say the things because I guess, then it's considered racist, which I find interesting because so now all we got to do is say we're liberal Democrats and then we won't have to worry about offending anybody.
Yeah, well, that's what's absolutely insane is that there really is to like, I'm sorry, but what was said to Candace Owens, if something went the other way, coming from a conservative to a liberal, it would have been a whole different story. Like she even, like, in other words, I feel like the story about that will be like, here goes Candace Owens running her mouth again. You know what I mean? Rather than here goes hypocrisy and racism.
Oh yeah, the headlines are completely different. So yeah, there's, like I said, there's just been a lot that's been going on, and I'm trying to think of if there was any other stories on the like celebrity for. Oh, Matthew McConaughey was kind of like coming out and saying, talking about the left and how his experiences in Hollywood, like they've definitely been. He sees the hypocrisy in a lot of, especially when it comes to Christianity, because I believe he is a Catholic. And he mentioned in a podcast where he was like, I've been at award shows where, in conversation with other actors where they say, hey, like, let's pray together, or let me say a prayer for you, whatever, some kind of religious undertones. And then when he would get up and say, thank God, and, this, that, and the other, he would see them kind of like looking around to see if it was okay to clap, and he's like, I kind of wish they kind of stood their ground a little bit. He's like, but to some extent, I get it. They have careers,
But you know what, though? I'm going to tell you something that I don't like about Matthew McConaughey. Even in that conversation, I feel like he's still closeted right. Like he tried to cover all the bases without, like, and he's been on Fox recently and stuff, talking about some things, but like he's kept everything, like he won't say whether he's like he's political, which is fine. I'm not saying he should, but what I mean is he don't come out and make any groundbreaking statements, but at the same time wiggle around them, come out and fucking say that there's hypocrisy, but don't start just jabbing, throwing jabs everywhere to try and stay in the fucking middle. I gotta stop my cursing.
I mean, listen, I don't really have a problem, with maybe people not even speaking their minds and their opinions. I mean, that's fine. I know one other guy that kind of came under fire recently was Chris Pratt, who people were saying that he was a conservative, and it was basically like, he wasn't speaking his opinions really. So because he was quiet and he wasn't speaking out politically, people made the assumption that he was a conservative and that he needed to be canceled.
Well, this is the part that I'm going to tell you something. You're hitting the you're hitting, what's it called? What's this thing that really gets you? What really grinds my gears? But you're hitting a sweet spot with me right now, because I'm over that stuff. This is ridiculous. With think about what you just said. Like, people are after him because they think he's a conservative.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's right. It. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but about a year ago, all of the people that are like in the Marvel universe had to come out and stick up for him.
Yeah.
Because he was wearing like one of those conservative, like patriot, clothing line shirts. Like, I don't believe it was grunt style, but I'll say grunt style, where it's like, it's a shirt that pretty much is just kind of like, says something about America or the military, but it's generally a conservative view. It's like somebody who's for, gun rights and America, and they're conservative. But the whole thing is that where we are? Like, you wore a fucking conservative t-shirt, so you're outed as a bad guy? Like, that's ridiculous. That's crazy. I'm done with that. I really am. I'm completely over it. Listen, I don't they're like, you're a liberal, I'm a conservative. You're no better than me. I have an opinion that's actually sees it completely different. I believe all of the things that people think I am, they are.
Yeah.
But the thing is that's got to go away. You're a liberal. Good for you. Great. I'm a conservative. Leave me the fuck alone. You know what I mean? No, like, I don't mean that even bad. I just mean like this whole, like, why can't we just go back to where, like, that guy there believes in business and low taxes and less government. So what? He's not a villain.
Yeah. Well, it's just unfortunate because a lot of times we want the same results for people, I think. Well, and a lot of times, we want everybody, Republicans, Democrats want the same results, just have different approaches how to get there. And, unfortunately, it's just become a lot of mudslinging. And, there's just so much talk, when you talk about Nazis and all of this nonsense.
Well, that's the part, Tom, that I don't like, is that I don't think that conservatives do. At least I don't. I don't know. But it's like, I don't like wrap emotions in every, like, in other words, like, if I want lower taxes and you want more taxes because you think that you trust the government to disperse it to the people that need it, like, I disagree and I could argue you, but like, you bring emotions into it and make me feel like my thought is, I always feel like that the conservative view is the one that is easily like in other words, everything a conservative wants can easily be attacked from a standpoint of like emotion and race and sex. In other words, you're always the one taking away. Like, a conservative is the one that believes that, I shouldn't, like, the individual shouldn't be forced to give their money to government. Therefore, that is seen like as if I don't believe that people should get welfare or something, in a sense.
Right.
And therefore, you're the one who's trying to hold on to something. Therefore, you're the one that doesn't, you're the guy with 2 extra loaves of bread and you don't want to give the hungry man a piece of bread. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's not really that way. And I think the thing that makes it so complicated is that the left is and maybe rightfully so, but a lot of their points can easily be saturated in emotion because, like, and moral standpoint. Like, a conservative never has a moral high ground in his argument.
I don't know about that. I mean,
well, you have to develop it. You have to explain to somebody what you think happens when you inspire people to give them a job, and but at the same time, you're arguing against somebody who thinks that you're trying to say. I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, I don't want to get too deep into that, but I just feel not that we don't have a moral high ground, but your argument is always, why there should be less kind of like socialism, and socialism sounds good. And anybody who doesn't want socialism doesn't want people to get shit for free, it sounds like, or something, which I don't think is always the case. But the bottom line is, we got to stop attacking each other for shit like that and come to the table and have a conversation, because I think we'll find out real quick that we both want to get to the same place. Like you said, we just see different ways to get there,
No, absolutely. And it's really unfortunate. Like, I'm reading this book right now, Everything is Fucked. It's by Mark Manson. He's Manson, something like that. I forget the fucking guy's name. Manson. He is the author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And, he basically describes, when you're talking about politics and all, a lot of it goes down to psychology. And he talks about, That's why a lot of things are taking politics and kind of misguide it in a lot of ways, because your brain, you have two different brains. You have your thinking brain, and you have your emotional brain. And you're a lot of times people use their emotional brain too often, and it's misguided. You know what I mean? Like you just I don't really know exactly how to break that down properly because I'm not finished reading the book. But basically, I think that's a major difference between Republicans and Democrats, liberals, conservatives. I feel like most of the time, most things on the Republican end are more thinking brain, as far as, and then in the liberal way, it's more emotional brain.
Well, I think you're helping me better explain what I was trying to say, in the sense of, like, I feel like as a conservative, when I think about a problem, I separate the emotion. Like, I remember when I was when I was kind of fucked over in a business deal in my 20s, and I got screwed out of a business in a sense. I remember being real mad, and my dad looked at me and he just said, "Remember, it's not personal. It's just business." And every time something happens to me, I look back at it and I realize, like, they didn't fuck me over. They did exactly what businessmen are supposed to do in that situation. Now, that's not the greatest point, but what I guess what I'm saying is, it's like, when you sit down and as a conservative and you try and figure out a problem about, say, money, you know what I mean? You're looking at it on what's the best way to maybe maximize, the outcome financially by taking what you have, maybe through investment or whatever. Whereas if you started to think about someone's feelings in that process, you just can't accommodate everybody. I know I definitely just squashed that, but what I mean is, that you just can't, if you're thinking about how can I, take this $5 and make it last or something, you know what I mean? And that might not involve everyone getting exactly what they want at that moment. And
well,
that's my financial advice and my conservative views.
Well, and listen, I was just in a group chat with a few friends, and one guy, shared a post about loan forgiveness, I guess, for small businesses. And it's a slippery slope because, I had people that are like, I don't think it's right because, then why shouldn't I be forgiven for, loans? Like, where does it end? Like, should I be forgiven for my car loan? You know what I'm saying?
And I don't agree with the fucking getting rid of people's student loans.
Should we do away, because there's a push for doing away with some mortgage payments, which I do kind of understand, because there's a lot of people that can't make those payments and it's not their fault. They were working, their businesses were shut down by the government. So it's not their fault. They can't make those payments, because the government gave us $1,200 several months ago and they thought that was going to last for 8 months. You know what I mean? But, and then my same buddy who shared that article, whatever, then he posted an article about Tom Brady qualified for some small business loan. So I forget the exact numbers. Maybe he got a $2 million loan or forgiveness, something he was able to take advantage of. Now, Tom Brady's worth fucking $200 million. This is where the moral aspect, I understand to an extent where you get a little emotional about that, because realistically, Tom Brady being worth $200 million, do you really need a bailout? And while there's mom and pop shops that are closing, that can pay their bills, that didn't qualify somehow or for whatever reason, didn't get some of these loans. So it does get it is a slippery slope. And that's where it's like,
but let me ask your opinion, because this kind of works into something. You see how when I say there's never a moral high ground for a conservative, it's like Tom Brady seen a loan that was clearly available to him. He wasn't doing anything sneaky, right?
Right.
Now, someone can easily attack him. Like he's got to be on some moral high ground, right?
Right.
Now, here's my question to you. So what do I look like when I then present the argument? Well, if you're going to say that about Tom Brady, what about some guy who made $100 today cash, but he decides not to claim it on his unemployment because he's broke?
Right.
So then you're attacking some poor guy and putting him up against a millionaire. And I see both points. On one side, you're asking someone with an abundance of finance to not make a legal choice to do something beneficial to him because he can save the world with all the money he has. But then on the other side, the person asking that of him feels that if they get extra money, that they deserve it because they're broke or something, and it's got to be a universal understanding. And just because somebody's rich and, I don't know what to say because I don't know how he was available to get a loan or whatever, but it exists for him, I don't know. Yeah.
And that's the thing. He didn't do, like you said, he didn't do anything wrong. So what he did was legally right. Now, obviously, if the system worked the way it was supposed to, you would like to see somebody, your corner shop get that money as opposed to somebody like Tom Brady. I get that. That's where people's emotions get all riled up because people are like, well, he doesn't need it. And I get it. He doesn't. So from that, but you have to be able to separate, like, he didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean? And this is where a lot of times where, sometimes maybe people are like, oh, as a Trump supporter, you're mean and you're whatever they want to call you. I fucking lost my fucking train of thought there. I don't know. I just had a fucking brain fart.
No, you were saying here's where it gets kind of weird because people expect Tom Brady to do something different with his money because he's on this, like he's got millions of dollars. So therefore, at a time when people are in need, he should maybe be giving his money away for charity, not thinking about himself and some type of financial gain for himself, I guess. Did I lose you?
No. Suddenly
trying to bring you back.
Yeah, no. I guess basically, it's tough because again, the system works a certain way. Oh, now I remember where I was trying to go. For me personally, I'm a big person of get the government the fuck out of everything because I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, they complicate everything. Every time the government is involved in things financially from, or education to healthcare system, they just overcomplicate everything. There's too many loopholes, all this shit. And that's where, the government should protect my rights. That's it.
Well,
you
here,
know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need them in my life. And that's where people are like, I guess they maybe judge me because I don't put this faith in the government. And strangely enough, I posted something about Peter Schiff, who's an economist, the other day. And my buddy replied to it. He's a liberal Democrat. And he was basically saying that he was like, well, who is this guy? He's a financial advisor. So he was like, I deal with clients and they mention this guy and blah, 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 blah. And he goes, I just think it's kind of funny that they don't even know this guy and they're taking advice from him about their financial situation. And I just kind of left it alone. But in my mind, I'm thinking, well, it's funny because him and I disagree on politics. And I've said this to him. I don't understand why you put so much faith into your politicians that don't know you.
Yeah.
But you put faith into them to make decisions for your life. And it's the same thing essentially. And I'm just like, I don't get it. Like,
well, here goes something interesting that I learned recently and I thought of you because, sometimes I get in these conversations with people where I feel like even me and you have had this kind of conversation where I do feel that the government should be, I don't realize how much people think the government should not be involved with your life. Like I feel that you know, and me and you have had some of this conversation. The most recent one I can remember was on the gender rights and shit.
Right.
You know, where I was saying, well, the government's got to step in at some point or whatever. And I'm not saying I'm right. What I'm saying is I find it interesting that I think I'm completely aligned with some people. And then I realize, oh, they don't want no government involvement, you know? But this guy brought up this point that I never really thought of or never knew was basically before FDR, right? So you know how whenever there's a big major, like just like we're going through right now, every time there's some weird situation, that's when all our laws get changed rapidly, right?
Right.
Well, FDR was the sitting president for World War II. And apparently we didn't have a minimum wage and we didn't have like government control of businesses and a lot of taxes and shit. And a lot of that stuff got implemented by FDR. But what this guy started getting into was before FDR, when businesses, he said, like, what people don't understand is when you leave people alone, what happens is a guy who's running a business in a town, he has to worry about the well-being of the town. And at the time when people were left alone, actually the country was doing fine because people that made money were actually more philanthropists or whatever, where they actually, like, you know, the whole thing, this is what I mean about the moral high ground, then you have to assume that the guy's going to be good. I'm sure there were assholes. I'm sure there was whatever, but for the most part, business relied on the well-being of others. And since the government wasn't involved, in some cases it was there. Like let's just say government's not involved right now and COVID hits and you're sitting there realizing, oh shit, my fucking, all my workers can't work and now they're running out of money. Well, if you don't take care of them people, they're not going to be able to come back to your job and other people aren't going to be able to buy your product. So you have to step in to save your own business, you know?
Right.
So it was just interesting to me that actually at one point in this country, apparently there really wasn't, apparently it wasn't until FDR where the government was so involved in our lives or at least in private business anyway.
Well, and the guy, you know, Peter Schiff will back that up with certain numbers and show you how well and better prepared the American people were. They had more in their savings. They were making less, but they had more savings and they were doing better than we are now. You know, and that actually brings me to AOC. Did you happen to see she has a clothing line out?
$60 sweatshirts.
$60 sweatshirts, a tax the rich. And I saw that and I was like, dude, hold on a minute here. So you have a socialist who constantly is complaining about capitalism selling $60 sweatshirts that you could probably get for like $25, if that. And I'm like, I have so many questions. I'm like, is it made in the USA? Is she paying her workers, you know, $16 an hour? Is she offering them 401k? Is she kind of like spreading some of her wealth around? What's going on here? So I thought that was kind of funny.
But that's even what's funny though about these people. Like, she's a millionaire right now, I'm sure.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm going to tell you right now. I guarantee you, she's a millionaire right now. First off, she's got so many followers. Trust me, she's a millionaire. They make money, dude. They can make money. She's allowed to make money. She's a millionaire, hands down. And if she's not, for some reason, she will be the minute she can be. Because just having the amount of followers she has on Twitter, she's like, in other words, put it this way, she's selling $60 t-shirts, sweatshirts. So she's involved in things. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the thing I think is funny is for someone that thinks like her, you would assume then, like, how can she point a finger at Tom Brady in a sense? Because the bottom line is, for someone that thinks like her and says the things that she says and invokes the policies that she tries to invoke or whatever, you would think someone like her would be giving all her money away, period. Do you know
Uh,
what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean anything in excess.
Yeah.
Like if she's got, maybe I'm wrong, maybe she doesn't, but I can guarantee you right now that girl's got money for
Well,
sure.
I just did a quick Google, and I just pulled something up. It said
She's got
Alexandria.
$5. She's got
No,
10
no,
bucks.
no. AOC Congresswoman to be a millionaire by age 40, despite detesting the wealthy class. So it just says an average congressman is age 57 and roughly 5 times wealthier than a U.S. household. But AOC, who represents New York's 14th district, is only 30 years old. So by the time so right now, wow, an average member of the U.S. Congress earns around $511,000 in 2020. That's pretty nice wage.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what they mean by worth $1 million, but that's this is what I mean. If she's making 500,000,
Yeah, she's not worth that yet. She's not a millionaire yet.
but do you see what I'm saying, though, Tom? If she makes $400,000 a year,
500,000.
well, I don't know if that's the average. You never know. Somebody could be, but no, you're right, because it would all be, nobody's making 10 million, and another guy's making 400,000. But
Yeah,
but so what I'm saying is, if somebody's estimating she's gonna be worth $1 million, well, what is she spending her fucking money on? Because that means by the time she's 40, she'll have spent $5 million. You know what I'm saying?
well, she has a bunch of sweatshirts, so I don't know. Maybe if her clothing line takes off, maybe she'll become even quicker than that.
Well, I don't know if this actually affects her. Like, I don't know if it was just one of those kind of clickbait stories, because I didn't read, the whole fucking thing. But apparently she didn't get her name on the ballot. Did you see this?
No.
So apparently like somebody like Nancy Pelosi or somebody will always be on the ballot. You can't, she just won't, because she's been in so many, she's been up for, done so many terms that she doesn't need signatures like a new person, right? Well, AOC needs to get signatures from like the workers union that she represents. So she needs 15 signatures from like representatives from the workers union. So even though everybody loves her, the workers union thinks that she screwed them over.
Yeah.
So she didn't get enough signatures, so they took her name off the ballot. Now, the clickbait of that might be that she's probably going to be on the ballot somehow, but it's just the fact that her own union or something that she represents didn't want to support her. I found interesting.
Yeah, to be honest with you, man, and we've talked about it a little bit. I've kind of gone through like withdrawals with politics. I shouldn't say withdrawals. Like I'm not. I shouldn't say that. That's a bad term. I've kind of like disassociated myself with it recently. I mean, I can't really help it. There's certain things that I have paid attention to, and I actually had a conversation with a girl I used to date. I noticed that she stopped following me on Instagram the other day
because of politics.
So I texted her and I said, "Hey, listen, I just was curious. I noticed that you unfollowed me. Just, are we still cool? Like everything okay?" And she was like, "Yeah, she's like, I think it was just the politics, and I'm trying to focus on a new relationship now. So like it was, it's kind of tough juggling past relationships and all." Which I thought was a little bit strange, because I'm like, well, there's nothing to really juggle. Like, I mean, we occasionally talk like through Instagram or something. Like she may like a picture or inbox me, like something. There's no real dialogue that takes place between us. And she was like, "So I don't know, did you want the short or long answer?" And I just didn't even respond. I just liked her message, and that was it. And I have noticed, like, which is kind of weird, because it's one of those things where I would be like, I wouldn't expect her to unfollow me. I would more expect random people that don't really know me that well to unfollow me. And I absolutely have been a lot more active with sharing political stuff on my social media. But they're just quick things that I see online, and I share it. I might glance over it, but I'm trying my best to just kind of let it die, because It's tough, especially with more lockdowns, and I fucking, this girl's texting me right now. I met her. I've been talking to her the other day. We're supposed to go on a date. She lives in Philly, and I'm like, well, where can we go? Everything's locked the fuck down again. So she's like, not until I don't think they're opening back up until January 1st. So she might have to come out to see me if we hang out. But I'm like, so I do kind of pay attention to that a little bit, because that to me is the biggest story. Like all these lockdowns and mental health and people's like lives being destroyed by all this stuff, man. That really is getting to me now, and that's more of a reason why I'm like, man, government, get the fuck out of our way and just let us live our fucking lives.
Well, this is a perfect time, because I didn't say this to you yet, so I'll say it to you. And I was thinking it when we were talking about like how like in other words, how like you're always on some moral high ground or whatever if you're conservative. Well, so our mayor, you might have seen me post recently where I said, I'll give this guy a chance. He's like a woke liberal. Yeah, he's like 26 years old. He's our mayor now in Baltimore, right? He was very active during the riots, not the recent riots because we didn't have any. So he was very active during the Freddie Gray stuff. That's kind of how his face got out there. He did seem to be like a kind of a good voice of reason during the riots. And then, of course, he got a lot of publicity from that, and then he became kind of like an active person in the community, and now he's our mayor. So the dude was in there for 18 hours, right? This morning I wake up, shut all bars and restaurants down for 6 weeks.
So that's currently what's going on.
Currently what's going on, I get a message immediately from my boss, pretty much said, don't know if we're going to make it. I would advise you guys to get on unemployment if you haven't already and look for jobs. I don't know if we're going to, she said, she doesn't know what's going to happen. And like I said to you, dude, 110,000 restaurants closed already. 30% of small businesses have closed, permanently closed.
Yeah. And
that was because of the first lockdown. None of these people had any kind of business. So like even opening back up at 25%, whatever, like there's no way that anybody kind of is completely on top of the situation again. And now they're closed back down. So I would imagine that not only might you see that 30% go to 60%, which I think is insane to say this, because I don't even see how it's possible, but I could see that number turn it into like 70%, which sounds insane though. So I don't know how that would be possible, but just kind of thinking about it in my head, I mean, there's no way these people who rely on Christmas and, whatever, they're closed. So he didn't even say 6 weeks. It looks like it's going to be a long time. Mm-hmm. But either way, what I hate is that when I'm talking to a liberal or something about this kind of shit, you have these people that are working from home, or they're teaching and they're getting all their money and they're on fucking Zoom calls, or they still have a situation because they're working for the city or they're working for the union. Like I just read an article that in Boston, they have 90% less usage of their transportation system, but yet because the union's so strong, they run the train just like it's like as if it's operating at 100%, just right, because they've got that union lockdown. So with that being said, you have these people whose lives aren't affected by it, and they're telling everybody you're rude if you don't wear a mask, and forget that you should or shouldn't wear a mask. What I mean is, for me right now in my situation to turn around and say to somebody, what the fuck, man? Like, this is ridiculous at this point. And it's so easily vilified, like I'm some deplorable asshole who doesn't care about anybody. Meanwhile, my job is gone. People around me, like I not only, and anyone who knows this, anybody who works in the restaurant business knows that unlike most jobs where people say like, hey, it's just a job, then you go home and then you have your life. In the restaurant business, a lot of us are like the island of misfit toys. Wherever you work becomes your family. Everyone you know is like, if I know 100 people in Baltimore, they all work in restaurants. So I know 100 people right now who every once in a while I see one of them post on Facebook like, sorry to have to say this, but my bar's closing down and we're all going to meet up if anybody, whatever.
Yeah.
And the thing is I know way more people that are out of work and having their lives destroyed than I do of people that died from COVID.
Right.
And this is what I mean when you get into that emotional thing with the argument with the left and the right, I guess, is like, I have a very valid point to make that this, like, in other words, again, it's like taking from, like, if I sat down with a liberal and explained why this is ridiculous, all they hear, it seems, all they ever hear is that I'm not concerned for that 0.06% of people that could die.
Right.
And it's like, I should be allowed to feel that what's happening to me is not only unjust, it's unconstitutional, and it's really getting ridiculous because they have no science for it. They have zero science why, like you can or can't, like they do in a sense, but the thing is not when you let certain other things be open. Like, they don't know if more people are getting sick at a Walmart than they are at a bar. They don't know that. And I'm not saying that it might not be true, but they're not even bothering to show us data. They just decide like, we're going to lock down for 6 weeks. Like, there is no science behind 6 weeks, 2 days, 3 days, 25%. Being open until 10. There's no fucking science behind it. It's just like basically a 26-year-old kid just went into office and 18 hours later, he stands up there and says, everyone knows that my only concern, and I've always said that the citizens of Baltimore's health is my number one priority. And it's like 399 people died of COVID in Baltimore.
Right.
And who knows how old they were, what they were sick from before. And as I posted on Facebook, I think it's probably over 400 now. So at this point, there's probably more people that died by getting murdered by guns.
Oh, yeah.
In Baltimore. So, at what point is, if you're doing fucking scientific research, I'm pretty sure you got to calculate in all the other things. And I'm sure we talked about this a million times. But the bottom line is that I feel that we've polarized each other so much that I'm not even allowed to be upset that I lost my fucking career. Like, I can't even go. It's not like people that hear this kind of think like, well, just go get another job.
Yeah.
No, they took my job. Like, if you were a teacher and you lost your teaching job, yeah, go get another job. But if you were a teacher and they eliminated your job, there's no more school. 37% of schools are closed right now for good, right, and whatever. The whole thing is, like, a lot of this was voluntary. A lot of this is really just based on the fact that we're obeying. Like, if there was enough people in Baltimore that said, fuck this, they have no legal right to keep us closed. But at the same time, I mean, hey, maybe there's nothing I can do about it. I can't fucking fight the system on it, but feel bad for fucking me too. Don't make me have to worry about somebody else. Like, we all have our own shit to worry about.
Well, there was this wild viral video that I just saw maybe a day or two ago. I don't know if you saw it. It was a woman in California who was going crazy because her business was shut down. And she said, this is the parking lot, which is 50 feet away, 50 feet or so away from my restaurant. A movie theater put up a tent and to serve food for the people on set and all that stuff. So it was outside. It was,
I seen this.
And she was like, so you mean to tell me that you can serve food out here, but I can't open my business that has outside seating as well? And I'm like, that's the one thing that kills me, because I'm like, you have a lot of people on the left that are all for the lockdowns, and they're like, well, you're not compassionate if you want to open up. You're just thinking about yourself. And I'm like, seeing that woman and how upset she was, like, dude, that hurt me, because I'm like, man, like think
about me. Like, dude, let me tell you something right now. That video, first off, was not only was it like I for some reason, the reason why that hit home so well was because you see it, you fucking visually see the hypocrisy, right? Like it makes no sense. But you know what else though? What I was going to say is another crazy thing about that video was, if you remember that video, I actually think from a film guy's perspective, the most dramatic thing, the thing that made that so dramatic, was that she's looking at the movie set, and then when she turns to show her thing, there's a truck that happens to be blocking her side, and then the truck turns. So basically, it gave you this dramatic reveal of, like, she's got the same setup, smaller size, but it like slowly was revealed to you. And that girl was in an interview, and you know what the craziest thing about it was? She was saying, look, I'm not like, because they were trying to make it like, isn't it gross that the movie company? And she's like, she's like, that it's not the movie company's fault. Just like we were saying about Tom Brady. Right. Like they want to be open too. They might be a big business, but they want to be open too. But you know what her biggest point was that she talked about was how she lives in California, and she's going crazy because every time she tries to express how she feels about what's happening, her friends and people around her are acting like she's fucking not concerned about people. Right. Right. And so, listen, this is just getting out of control. This is really getting out of control. I don't know the answer, because I know, like, I live in Baltimore. These people are just going to accept it and watch these places just close down. And I imagine, see, this is the part that's starting to get scary. I imagine that there's an end, right? So they told us to go in for 2 weeks. And I was going through this process in my head the other day. They told us all, you got to go home for they literally said 2 weeks, right? But as fast as we were home, they never said 2 weeks again. The minute you were home, you just heard them start to talk on the news like, maybe by July, latest August. So then you started to have to realize on your own, like, oh shit, this is a 3-4 month deal. Then when you got to like July, August, they're talking about Christmas and vaccines. Yeah. And so I imagine the reason why I don't see people like having any type of uprising, especially in a city that's democratic, where they're kind of for this stuff, or not democratic, but Democrat, But I'm imagining that at some point this ends. So me living in Baltimore, if we do 6 more weeks and a lot of businesses go down, it's like there's never going to be no real outcry of like, whatever, because it's all, the damage has been done. Yeah. But is there an end? Because I actually just heard on the news again, people saying even after the vaccine, there's a possibility. I think Fauci was saying it. They were discussing the possibility that we may have to social distance and wear masks for 2 more years. Yeah, and it's crazy.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. I mean,
can't blow guys with a mask on. That's the only way I can make money.
Yeah, that's a little tough. Just cut a hole in the mouth, so you're still kind of safe. You know, it'll be fine.
You want me to put on a condom? No, no. Is your
Yeah,
mask on?
yeah, it's protective. I'm wearing protective face mask. Yeah, PPE.
But yeah, so I mean that's my story, dude. I mean my situation got kind of fucking bleak, and simultaneously, this is the fucked up part. Simultaneously, I got an email saying that they're going to cut off unemployment in 2 weeks out of nowhere because there was another fucking unemployment scam where our governor gave out unemployment to people that don't exist on some fraud scheme. So
meanwhile, I just saw in California, Gavin Newsom was spending $80 million on education, like and publicizing about COVID. You know, putting up billboards and all this stuff to say, you know, stay at home and all that stuff. So you're gonna spend $80 million on shit like that to tell people to stay home. Like, how about you maybe give that to the people? How about you do something?
how about you wait? How about you give that to the people and tell them to stay at home?
Right. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, that works. I don't need to see fucking 100 billboards to tell me to stay home because everything's closed. I can't fucking go nowhere anyway.
Give me a check for $5,000 and tell me to stay home.
Like, who the fuck's on the highway if everything's closed anyway?
Yeah.
So, but again, so like, I don't know, man. I you know, it's horrible. You know, I don't really want to go too much.
Oh yeah.
Again, you know, because I'll tell you, you know, just from a mental perspective, I mean, you know, it's got to be really tough for people. I mean, me, I'm blessed. I'm still able to work. So I'm lucky in that regards. I mean, yeah, like I've said before, I've lost some money because I can't work. You know, a lot of the supplemental income that I was getting, I can't get that. But I was watching, I mean, it's a complete change of fucking pace, but I was watching 60 Minutes the other day and Viola Davis was on there. She's an actress.
I know she is, yeah.
Yeah. And she was, you know, just talking about acting and, you know, her career and all of these things. And they were showing certain scenes and dude, I was getting like chills because I'm like, I can't, not that I'm fucking, you know, DiCaprio over here, but I haven't been able to act. And that's one aspect mentally for me because of, like, again, I've talked about on here before. You know, it's not like I love my jobs. You know what I mean? I work my jobs to pay the bills. So I need other outlets to kind of like keep me sane, you know, this and acting. Dude, I literally got choked up. Like I started to tear up because I'm like, I miss that feeling of acting and being up on stage and being able to perform. And I started reminiscing about the different shows and you know, the being around the cast and going out afterwards and all these things. And I was like, it was getting to me. And I know that's on the scale, I feel bad even mentioning, especially when you're like, I'm struggling like with work.
Not even close. No.
So it's like a different thing, but like, I can't, like, I know that so many people emotionally are struggling so in so many different ways outside of maybe losing work and all. Like, it's
what you made me think of when you said that was that's your hobby, you know? Like, I don't mean it.
Yeah.
So like there might be somebody out there. Well, there definitely is somebody out there who maybe even if they didn't, like, I'm not talking about the money aspect. I'm talking about somebody out there who's not a podcaster. Like, in other words, like comedians all found a way to do their thing. But actors that are just low-level actors who do small theater constantly, like that's their life. Like they don't even care if they get fucking paid. They just do it constantly. Like they're probably just like, you know, like I said about myself, I miss my interactions with human beings.
Right.
But they love to interact with human beings as a form of expression on a constant basis. And they're not getting that at all, you know? Yeah. Like there's so many, this is what people don't understand is that even when you were telling me about your job, right? this is the thing that is starting to scare me. It's like they keep getting us into a phase that we think is okay. Like 2 weeks is okay. Wait, 3 months? Okay. Well, now you're 3 months. But and then you're always okay with the situation. Like, well, they're giving us unemployment. Then all of a sudden you're not getting unemployment and they're talking about you going and working for Amazon and you're realizing, wait a second, what the fuck's going on here? And then they're closing down for 6 weeks and you're like, all right, I'll be okay. And then they're sending you a thing saying there's no unemployment. So what I'm getting at is, if this keeps going, Tom, you might walk into work one day and they'll be like, we got to go down to 3 people, man.
Yeah.
You know? And this is the thing that's starting to scare me is I think people don't really understand that just because you're a teacher and you're working from home and you might hate that too. Like they think they're sacrificing something because they like to be engaged with their students.
Yeah.
But I think being in that situation, they don't realize that it's not just when they hear about like some bars closing down, they're like, well, that's going to happen, right? To save lives. But what I think they don't understand is they're not getting in the car and driving to work. Therefore, they're not buying gas. Therefore, there's a gas station that's losing money. There's a small corner store that's losing money. There's a lunch place that she goes to that's losing money. That now there's a theater that used to entertain people at matinees when they would have nothing to do at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in between their double or something that now is out. So there's so many things that are being affected, but just it's taking it longer. And if we don't get out of this situation at some point, you know, there could be a fucking straw that breaks the camel's back. That's kind of scaring me.
Well, yeah. And, you know, one last thing before, you know, maybe get off of that, but I just had a guy I work with, his grandmother just passed. She was 83 years old. The cause of death was COVID. She was already kind of sick. She was having kidney failure and she didn't want to go on dialysis. She got COVID. And of course, they listed it as a COVID death. So another aspect to this that people are seeing all these numbers, they're not getting the full story. Because I had another conversation with a guy who's a friend of a friend whose wife worked for a hospital. And she was like, listen, yes, we're writing up some of these deaths as COVID related, not because they're trying to scam the system, but because we have to pay our staff. She was like, you know, basically we don't have the need for the staff that we used to have because obviously we're not doing all the other surgeries and all these things because of COVID. But the problem is like, let's say there's a pile up on the highway and or some kind of something tragic happens and there's, you know, 15 or more people that get rushed into the emergency room. Well, we don't have the staff because we can't pay for them anymore. So they get money from the government when they deal with COVID related deaths.
But you're an asshole for saying that. That's the thing I don't understand.
Well, the wild thing is like a couple months ago when they talked about it on Rogan, I sent it to my buddy who's like super liberal and he's like, well, that's a wild claim. And I'm like, dude, but it's
true.
It's not. But see, he's one of those guys that's like, everything's a conspiracy theory. Like if it's not kind of like black,
yeah,
you're a conspiracy theorist. And he labels me as that guy. So, and I'm like, but dude, what makes you think? It was kind of like, I saw this meme the other day, which I thought was kind of funny. It was like, I know motherfuckers that'll kill you for $100. Why the fuck wouldn't you believe that there's super millionaires, billionaires, and powerful people in the government that wouldn't mind killing you if it was disrupting their lifestyle? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, now that sounds like a conspiracy theory. Oh, well, that's just crazy. But it's real life. It's people. It's humanity. That's what we do.
What you're saying is exactly how I try to explain a lot of these bigger things to people. When you're when you're saying that to somebody, they imagine in their head 2 billionaires going like, mark them all as COVID. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the thing they can't, that's the thing that makes that. Now you're not saying that, but that's what they see. Like,
right.
You know, what they don't understand is that there's a group of 20 nurses that are working at Johns Hopkins University, and they're not people that are these saints, like all doctors. Well, I mean, what I'm saying is like there are people that are caregivers, you know, and shit like that. Like an $18, $20 an hour, whatever they make, like nurse who went to a 6-month program, like not even a registered nurse.
Right.
And they're in a room and their manager is telling them that we may have to do some cutbacks. The only thing that's getting us money right now is COVID. They're not, the manager isn't saying mark everyone as COVID. The manager is saying to them, that's the only way we're getting money. And if someone has COVID, we also do. In other words, the person that marks the person as COVID actually is looking at it like, all right, they tested positive for COVID, even though they're dying of this. But if I just write COVID here, it doesn't really hurt anybody, and the government gives us money. I don't even think there's that kind of thought in it. It's just like they don't have any reason to not put COVID. George Floyd died of COVID. You know that, right?
Right. He had COVID, yeah.
Yeah. So, and another thing to add, when you said that, I know of one person just recently, a really good friend of mine who I trust, was just telling me his dad was so mad because their grandmother just died. And then when they looked at the fucking certificate of death, they put COVID on it. And the dad actually fought. Like I don't know if it went into court, but he threatened them legally to they were fighting with him, and he made them remove it because she didn't die of COVID, you know? But so people got to get that kid, like, just, like you said, it's humanity. I always say that word like organically or something because that's the only way I can think to express it. But you're right. It's humanity. The way I describe it is, if I'm working at my restaurant and I tell everyone you can put 18% on everybody's check, they'll just do it. And they're not criminals. They'll just do it. And every once in a while, they'll get an extra tip, you know, on top of it. And they're not criminals, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, why not just put 18% on? That's what's going on with COVID. Like, the COVID test itself has like a 40% failure rate. But what is the negative side to a nurse to care? You know what I mean? Right. Like, oh, let's double check them. No, they don't care. It doesn't hurt anyone. And I don't think the nurses are out to get anybody, but it's like to them, it's like a win. It's not a win-win. I mean, we're talking about people dying, but what I'm saying is, it's not really any reason for them to not mark COVID. Like, the person had COVID and they died of heart attack. You put COVID on there, you get paid, you keep your job, but there's no reason for you to not put COVID on there either. So what the hell? Why not?
Right.
You know?
Exactly. It's not this grand scheme that people are like trying to get rich off of people dying. They're just trying to keep the doors open. So I get it. I understand. But the problem is that all you see on the news is, well, now we just had 3,000 deaths today, where like maybe half of those deaths weren't, because they did release numbers on how many people actually died from COVID. And
it's not a lot.
It's not a lot. It's like 3% of just COVID. Well, like all the other people, obviously they had other issues.
Have you been having this problem? My biggest problem is that I understand people don't like to talk about Trump. All right. So I don't want to talk about Trump. I don't care to talk about Trump. Right. But they know my political point of view, I guess, or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I want to talk about all the craziness that's going on in these politicians. I don't give a fuck if it's right, left, whatever. So if I'm sitting down with somebody and I go, dude, like you said, like, I'm not trying to sell you on a right-left thing. I want to be able to say, like, dude, this fucking mask shit is ridiculous. It doesn't even make sense. But they don't want to continue the conversation because they're like, oh, here we go, you know? And it's like, no, I want to just talk about the hypocrisy of all of this shit.
Right.
And not be looked at like I'm trying to spit a conspiracy at you. And it almost is like belittling because you turn around to someone that you respect and you want to go like, this is absurd. And the way that they blow you off, you feel like you're fucking living in a fucking fantasy island or something.
Yeah. Like you have fucking leopard, like you're a leopard.
Yeah. And that's the one thing I hope somehow that's got to blow away. Like it's got to go away. That fucking, we got to go back to being people that distrust government. Like, what the fuck? Remember when we all didn't trust government?
Well, not only necessarily distrust government, but just not put so much. We should demand more from our politicians. We should demand more transparency. You know what I mean? Like, while you know, I mean, we can go on and on and on about that, but you know, I don't want to keep going down that hole. I mean, you know, we could talk about more on another podcast, and especially because, you know, from the last podcast that we had, Kira was great, and some people, you know, were really, they liked it. And then I had a couple people that were like, did she wander on the wrong podcast? Like, what happened? And I was like, no, dude, look, we can't always talk about the same shit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's good to mix it up, and she was great.
I also think that I don't know if it's a good thing or what, but I mean, we're just having a conversation and it could go anywhere. I think sometimes it stayed on too many things or whatever, but I mean, like going into it again, like, you know, we're talking about COVID. We're not really talking about politics, but our life right now is politics and COVID and fucking, you know, I mean, we're locked in a room and we're being told, like, in other words, I don't like to talk politics, right? If we were working every night, I'd be telling you the fun shit I did yesterday or the bad shit I did yesterday or the shitty customer I had the other night. Right, but basically my life has become, don't go to work, wait for a politician to tell you what you can and can't do. How are you going to get money? Who's going to win the election? Who's the president? What did this politician just say? What's going on this news channel? I mean, what the fuck? Like, you know, what else is going on? But
yeah, you know, and unfortunately, we can't please everybody. You know, we're gonna have some people. We're gonna have some people that are like, dude, you start talking about politics, click, I'm out. Other people, like my one buddy, you know, the last guest, he was like, I was listening, but then like, you know, I'm on the edge of my seat, like waiting for you guys to just say, like, start going off about, oh, I hate the lockdown, I hate. And he's like, it just never came. So like, I was just kind of like, it's like it was a little bit of a letdown, I guess. I'm like, we're trying to be positive. But you know, and then I don't know if you want to mention, we got a little shout out.
Oh yeah. My somebody, a friend of mine from work, Sherry Gutowski, she started her own podcast. It's called Crossing State Lines. And it's her and her boyfriend. I believe he lives in Pennsylvania. She lives here in Baltimore. And I guess they met on Tommy's favorite fucking love connection, Tinder.
I hope that happens to me soon, hopefully.
Yeah, Tinder. But yeah, so I mean, and I guess I mean I've only heard one episode, but they basically just discuss, you know, their relationship, and it seems like it's going to be pretty cool because, you know, I'm sure it'll progress. Maybe at some point it'll go south. That'll be great if they just keep doing the podcast.
Well, but the moral of the story was that they were inspired by
yeah, well, I guess they heard our podcast. She really liked it. She's an interesting person, and she's got a lot to, you know, she's pretty entertaining. And you know, I would like to say that I inspired them in a sense, but that's kind of what I felt a little bit. But I also, you know, once they told me, they were like, she was like, oh, well, we might do a podcast, whatever. And when she said Crossing State Lines, I was like, that sounds like a fucking great podcast.
Right.
You got to do it.
Yeah, it's a great name.
So I don't know if I inspired them, but I definitely told them that's a great name and do that. It sounds like a great podcast. So Crossing State Lines on Spotify, iTunes, all the good ones. So definitely check them out. And her boyfriend's a cool dude as well. And
she gave us a shout out, and she
gave
was
me a
like, you
little
know,
shout out. Pony
she was
Boy
like,
Curtis.
she was like, layman's terms, you know, they kind of talk about about everything.
Yeah,
And
they
she's
get
like, you
into-
know, if they get into politics, then, you know, sometimes, you know, you can maybe just turn them off, you know. And I was like, oh, all right, yeah, sure, yeah, you can do that.
I was kind of like, yeah, thanks a lot. It doesn't sound like a great. She's
Yeah,
like, one episode was good. The others all kind of suck, but I'm sure they'll do another good one.
Right.
But I feel like we should have touched more on the alien shit.
Well, there was that. I wanted to talk about Cardi B. You know, she won Billboard's Woman of the Year for Wet Ass Pussy. And I'm
What
like,
a
wow.
wonderful, what an inspiring song.
Yeah. Like I was like, I want to make a remix to WAP.
I want to be in the room when they decided that, like a real prestigious group. Like, what is the most perfect song this year? Wet Ass Pussy is definitely number one.
Yeah, like what's the demographic that you think we should really
Yeah.
go after, you know? But
Just imagine 1960, somebody getting Woman of the Year for her hit single Wet Ass Pussy.
Yeah, well, just imagine the boardroom meeting with like a bunch of like white guys in like suits, like listening into it, like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Mop that pussy so wet you can mop it up with a mop or whatever the hell it is.
It probably would have been called Dry Ass Coochie.
Yeah, well, I like I said, I wanted to make a remix, Whopper Ass Penis.
No, did you see the remix of that song?
No, but dude, that's not good. Whopper Ass Penis? Is that not good?
Tom, they did one.
Of that? That was the name?
Well, it was like big hard ass penis.
Well, see, I'm still going off of Whopper Ass Penis.
Yeah.
You see what I did there? You know?
WAP, WHOP.
Yeah, like, come on. I mean, it's just
maybe you'll get Man of the Year next year.
Maybe, I would hope.
And for Man of the Year, WAP,
Yeah.
WAP ass dick, WAP ass penis.
Yeah, imagine like that acceptance speech. Like, they love me.
Tom, do yourself a favor, and when we're off of here, look up hard ass penis.
Hard ass penis?
Yeah.
I think Whopper's where it's at. Although again,
Well, remake it.
Yeah, well, it's complete lie. There's nothing. There's certainly not a whopper of a penis on me. But
well, maybe Cardi B's lying. We don't know if she got dry ass pussy.
It's probably drier than the Sahara.
Yeah, it's been used and abused, that thing.
Yeah, that's why Offset's always cheating on her.
I don't even know who that is.
It's her rapper boyfriend. Like
Fuck that dude.
Yeah, they're always cheating. And she also, in a strange turn of events, someone that just got Woman of the Year, Billboard Woman of the Year, whatever it was, she was also canceled like a week or so later for using the R word. She called herself a retard. And
that gets you taken off? That's cancel?
We may even get canceled because I went full retard.
But wait.
You never go full retard.
Never go full retard.
Never go. And if nobody doesn't understand that.
That's the greatest. Reference. That's the greatest character. You know, one of the things I saw for, you know, I don't know if you pay that much attention, but you know how like everybody rips the New York mayor de Blasio?
Right.
There was some meme where it was like, never go full de Blasio, man.
Yeah. For anybody that's listening that doesn't know that's Robert De Niro in Tropic Thunder, which is a fucking phenomenal movie. I came out, what was that, maybe like 2005, something like that.
I love that movie, dude.
The movie is fucking so politically incorrect. It's so bad, it probably wouldn't even get made today.
Like, yeah, but here's the thing. Nobody ever brings that up. Like they're going back and pulling up Jimmy Kimmel shit and all. Nobody even touches that shit. Everybody's like, nah, that's good. They don't touch that.
It's kind of tough to cancel that because it's a good movie. I mean, it's funny as shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she said that and she got canceled. And then she was like, y'all motherfuckers like want me to just be like Mother Teresa out here. Like, I don't know what the fuck. And I was like, oh, Cardi, now you get it. Now you get it. You know, you slip on a little tongue, and the slip of the tongue get you fucking canceled. Like nobody's fucking perfect. People fuck up.
Well, here's what's funny too is, so she can make a song called "Wet Ass Pussy" and get Woman of the Year, but she said retard, and then that's it. That's it.
Yep, canceled.
That's
canceled. That's it. That's
Oh
the way.
God.
As the world turns left.
As the world turns. I like that. That should be the name of our podcast.
we gotta rename it now.
As the world turns. We should have a segment for every time that happens.
It should be a dramatic pause because, you know, as the world turns.
Dude, we should. I'm serious. We should do a segment like that.
Yeah.
Like every episode, just do like a one thing that we picked up that was hypocrisy. As the world turns, you know, play the music and shit.
It should be an Englishman.
Yeah.
As the world. I can't speak in English.
Yes.
Is that British? I don't know.
It's funny to be a British guy. All you got to do is speak proper English and talk like you got a fucking stick up your ass. And that's your English accent.
Well, the thing about that, I know we're going to keep going on here, but I just watched this little kid. His father was telling him that he was on the naughty list and they were both English. And the kid was like, not me. Like, I've been a good little boy. Like, I've been a good little bloke. And the father's like, yeah, I just spoke to Santa. And I'm like, there's like a little Irish in there. I don't even know.
Yeah.
But the kid was like, that's ridiculous. And he's like, I'll uppercut him right in the beard and knock his beard off. And I was like, dude, you can't. I would let that kid punch me. Like, you could do no wrong if you had a British accent. Well, I know that's a horrible Brit. Like I was like a Scottish, Irish, British.
No, it was
guy,
good.
It was.
But Father, I've done nothing wrong.
Yes.
But dude, you know what I always think about is how we're fascinated with the English accent means something to us that I can't understand. That, like, in other words, you're an actor. It's like if you were an actor with a British accent, you'd be taken more seriously. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And so I always thought it was funny that Star Wars, at least the original, it was like to make it more whatever, everybody was like English accent.
Yeah. It would, dude, I'm telling you, you could get away with murder with a British accent. Like, you could do it. You could do whatever. So on that note.
Yeah, man, it was good talking to you. Sorry we missed a couple of weeks there. Whatever. My apologies. I'll take the brunt of that one.
There's been a lot going on. So,
yeah, there's a lot of shit going on.
Oh, yeah. Thanksgiving with holiday. So like, I think most podcasters took that week off for the most part,
Yeah. They really, they did too. I've been listening to a lot more podcasts, and I noticed from like that Wednesday to that Sunday, all the people I listened to, they had fill-ins for like the whole week. So I was disappointed.
Yeah. So
are we that big yet to get a fill-in? Hi, I'm Michael and I'm Robert.
I'm standing in for Danny the bartender and Tommy the trash man to give you the latest breaking news as the world turns left.
Two liberals.
Yeah. That would be great if we had like liberal guys that talked. So I'm pretty pissed off about Trump.
Yeah.
I think he's getting a bad rap.
What's up? What's up with all these people not wearing their masks?
Yeah. What I'm saying is they should do our spiel as liberals. You know what I'm saying? So they should be like, I think I'm going to take this darn mask off. I'm just going to rip it off right in public.
We should do a liberal take.
A liberal take,
like of just a full episode where we have sporadic conversation, but we try the whole time to just think of it from the side of a leftist
and be very serious. I'll put glasses on. We'll have a book. I'll carry a book with me.
Yeah, I'll put my man bun up and
like Ernest Hemingway or something. And we'll just go off about on our rants from their perspective, I guess.
All right, I guess before we kill this episode.
Yeah, we might have jumped the shark.
At least they can't cancel us. You can't cancel something that nobody gives a fuck about, which is great.
Well, I don't know because we did talk about COVID. You got a Trump fucking poster in the back, so we might be banned from YouTube.
Yeah, that was my little sly one. Like, we're not going to talk politics, but we did talk politics.
And
Look at him.
and
Look how
and
great that is, though. Come on, dude.
and by the way, for anybody watching the YouTube video, that image was designed by Daniel.
Yeah, from the donaldstuff.com. Get them while they're hot for Christmas.
Yes, exactly. All your Christmas holiday needs.
Remember, it's the donaldstuff.com.
Do you have any Donald like stars to put on the top of the tree or anything like that?
I didn't make anything. I didn't even, you know what's so funny? I wasn't selling anything. And like, I don't even know if my fucking website's still going. And the past 2 days now, I think I fucking which I mean, it'd be nice to keep making money, but I definitely just sold $100 today and I haven't sold shit in a long time. And another thing that's pretty cool, which I guess I can talk about, doesn't matter now. But, dude, Nick DiPaolo, nicest guy in the world. The guy I work for, Tommy Nietzsche, or with or whatever. And like, for anybody listening, if it ever was to make it to that level, I don't work for them or even with them, but I've been dealing with them. And even after all this, our contract's up, but he gave me a call the other day, checked in, see how I was doing. He's still doing most of my supplies. So he ships out my products and stuff, but he gave me a call, told me to hang in there, said they didn't forget about me, and that even though the contract's up, when they're going to settle some things out and they have some other stuff they want to talk to me about. So pretty cool though that the guy just called. Like, I mean, that's awesome. He just calls in and checks on me and make sure. It's very, like, I had to explain to him because he was like, I just want to see, you know, whatever. And I and again, this goes back to that where I said my dad said that business is business thing, you know.
Yeah.
You could tell he felt like bad because our contract was up and he just stopped talking to me.
Yeah.
And I never bothered him. And then I just said to him, I said, look, dude, I said, this is the thing. Don't worry about me. I said, I can tell you're worried about me. I said, look, business is business. You gave me something to do. I said, and I could tell that, like, this is what was so cool. I could tell a weight was lifted off of him because I said to him, I was like, dude, I'll be really honest with you. If you're worried about me, I said, I don't know if I would have made it through quarantine without having that contract and that relationship with you guys. It was like the coolest thing ever. And it gave me something to do. And, you know, it started to not work out for both of us financially. So business is business, but I just want you to know I'm still here. So, and because he'll never see this, you know, I'd like to keep contact with him because when I feel we get to a point where maybe it's worth kind of throwing his way, I will, you know?
Right.
But, all right, well, anyway, everyone that's listening, the whole world, we got Australia, Philippines, Russia. Just seen someone looking from Alaska.
Ukraine. We got a Ukrainian friend.
Ukrainian. Oh, yeah, Elena, the Ukrainian. Thanks for listening. I don't know. Dude, I'll tell you what, though, for anybody who has been listening from the beginning, I mean, we're not having substantial growth, but it's quality, not quantity. And it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool to see that 5 people in Australia were listening to your shit the other day. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah. So, you know, for our listeners, you know, just spread the word, tell people, and you know.
Make sure you subscribe to YouTube. I put the stuff up on Rumble too. We have a Twitter account. I'll post all that stuff, and follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, follow us however you can. Just don't follow me home. And make sure you subscribe, dude. Thanks a lot for listening, guys, because we enjoy this, and we hope you do too.
Yes, sir. All right.
And our next one, we'll talk about eating butt and stuff again. We'll get back into a butt eating session. I think that's necessary.
Back to the butt bullshit.
All right. What was this called? What did we call it?
Back on our bullshit.
Back on our bullshit. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next week, hopefully, when we're back on our bullshit again. All right, Tom.
All right.